Most people believe the story of 9/11 ended when the towers fell. But for thousands of people, the damage was only just beginning. 25 years later, first responders, survivors, office workers, and residents are still living with illness linked to the toxic dust that covered lower Manhattan. This is the story of the invisible aftermath of 9/11.
When the Twin Towers collapsed on September 11, 2001, Lower Manhattan was engulfed in a massive cloud of toxic dust. The debris wasn't just ash. It contained pulverized concrete, asbestos, fiberglass, silica, jet fuel residue, heavy metals, and microscopic chemical particles. The dust was highly alkaline, chemically similar to drain cleaner, making it especially dangerous when inhaled into the lungs and airways. Within days, many responders developed severe coughing, breathing problems, and throat irritation. Doctors eventually referred to a common condition as the World Trade Center cough, but for thousands of people, the symptoms never disappeared. Over time, exposure to the dust cloud became linked to respiratory disease, digestive disorders, cardiovascular problems, and multiple forms of cancer. Some illnesses appeared years, even decades later.
You can't fear what you can't see, right? So you don't see the chemicals. There's no spectrum analysis of the air or anything like that while you're doing it. So you know that there must be something funky in there, but you can't really worry about what at the time. I would just say that, and I think some of the videos that are out there sort of make some better than others, really give you an idea of how dense the debris was. When the buildings came down, everything was pulverized, so it was almost like being in a very, very dense snow globe. It's just yeah, so it's basically, I'm in a regular patrol officer's uniform. It's dark blue. There wasn't really a speck of dirt on it, and in an instant, it looks like you've been totally sugar cookied with this debris, totally covering you, and there wasn't a clean bit of surface, so it was everywhere in your hair, on your skin. Pretty surreal. So, but you didn't really know what it was, what the materials, what the substances were that were on you. So, and it was interesting because it was like a billowing cloud that just sort of rolled, almost like an ocean wave. It just overcame you, and everybody was just covered. And then it blocked out all available light, so everything just got very dark inside the debris field, and but you had really no idea what it was. I mean, if anything, you thought it was just a collapsed building, and you don't really think much of it. But I guess as time went on, we found out a little bit more about what was inside the debris field. So, asbestos and heavy metals.
For many first responders, the trauma was both physical and psychological. They weren't only witnessing destruction, they were breathing toxic air while doing it. In the days after 9/11, federal officials reassured the public that the air was safe. Those statements would later face heavy criticism. Researchers now argue that delayed warnings and inadequate protection may have worsened long-term exposure. As illnesses increased, survivors and responders fought for recognition, medical treatment, and compensation.
As illnesses linked to 9/11 continued to rise, survivors and first responders spent years fighting for recognition, medical care, and financial support. In response, the federal government created the September 11th Victim Compensation Fund, also known as the VCF. The fund provides financial compensation to people who developed illnesses connected to toxic exposure from the World Trade Center attacks.
Eligible individuals include firefighters, police officers, EMTs, construction workers, residents, office employees, students, and others exposed to the dust and debris in Lower Manhattan. Over time, the list of recognized illnesses expanded to include many cancers, respiratory diseases, digestive disorders, and mental health conditions. The program became a lifeline for thousands of people whose symptoms appeared years after exposure. In 2019, after emotional testimony from responders, survivors, along with comedian and 9/11 advocate Jon Stewart, Congress voted to permanently fund the Victim Compensation Fund through 2090. For many families, the decision meant that the consequence of 9/11 did not end in 2001. The disaster is still unfolding.
The victims of 9/11 were counted quickly. The illnesses were counted slowly. For thousands of survivors, the collapse was only the beginning.
25 years later, the legacy of 9/11 is still unfolding, not only in history books or memorials, but in hospitals, homes, and the lives of people still dealing with the consequences of the toxic exposure. The attacks may have lasted just one day, but for many survivors and responders, the aftermath never truly ended.